Hi again then guys, and welcome to, of course, another top speed tune for Special Stage Route X racing in particular, but you could potentially use it on a couple of other circuits as well, maybe Monza, maybe Le Mans, but in particular it is, as I said, Route X. Now this car is of course the Lamborghini Diablo GT, as you saw from the thumbnail and from the title. It's not the quickest thing out there, which is kind of a change, to be honest, for the Diablo. It used to be a force to be reckoned with, kind of a sleeper in fact, because it was a lot quicker than you might expect it to be in comparison to many of the other supercars in GT6. Now it's less powerful than it was, it's not as quick as it was, and it's suffered a little bit more in terms of dropping top speed, but it's not bad, especially in comparison to other Lambos, because it's actually pretty much just as quick as the Aventador or even the Veneno, so that's not bad at all for its age. Now as far as the upgrades go, of course you want to drop the weight as far as it can go, increase the power as much as you can. Traction control I would recommend having turned off, but of course that's down to each individual. Racing super soft tyres are the order of the day for maximum grip. As far as the ride height, I'd recommend having a little bit of clearance, 10mm higher than stock, because that works in conjunction with my kind of signature suspension setup, which allows you to really get down into the bottom of the corner at high speed, which is great for overtaking and for avoiding crashes, especially when you've got like 16 cars on the grid, and any of you guys who have raced on Route X know just how easy it is to end up in a pile-up if you've got a car that can't handle nimbly. So I'd recommend the highest natural frequency, and then anti-roll we've got on 4. You could increase that if you feel the need, but it's pretty good already. For the compression and the rebound on the dampers, you want those as low as they can go. I'd recommend 2 degrees of camber, primarily for stability, especially under slipstream. And then we've got neutral toe. Downforce cannot be adjusted even though you do have the rear wing. For the diff, I've got the lowest initial torque and acceleration. You don't necessarily, or the lowest braking I should say, not acceleration. You don't have to give it the highest acceleration. That's what I've done, but feel free to swap it around, try other things if you want to. You could always come back and do this again either way if it doesn't work out. And finally for the gearbox, you've only got 5 gears to work with, so we've got the fully customized transmission, of course, an auto setting of 249 miles per hour, which is about 400 kilometers per hour. Then as far as the individual gears, we've got 1.7, 1.1, 0.8, 0.610, 0.500, and then a final drive of 3.9. Now the crucial thing here is, in a similar way to the Veneno in particular, but also the Aventador and a couple of others, this tune is not designed to do 300 miles per hour in slipstream. It'll do about 280, maybe a little bit more. It's designed to be quick on its own against stuff of a similar speed. So SLS AMGs, SLRs, Aventadors, Venenos, those kind of more mid-level machines, even 458 Italias, Huracans. It's not designed to take on Enzos, Nismos, that kind of level. Certainly not Huayras. So if you do want to be able to slipstream up there with those big dogs, you will need to drop the final drive, even as far down as, say, like 3.6 or even 3.5, to give you a lot more slipstream potential. But be warned, especially with only 5 gears to work with, you will lose cruising speed. So only do that if you know that you're going to have slipstream for the whole race, otherwise you won't be able to keep up. You could even do it under 2 different tune setups for easy reference. Have one under column A, one under column B, and then you can just swap between them depending on the race. That would make it quicker. But that's it for the tune. Of course there's room for variation, as we always have, but now what you want to see is it performing at that quoted speed on the track. And as I said earlier on, I do think it's kind of a shame that the Diablo has dropped its speed so much compared to the last game. It really was one of the quickest things out there. In Gran Turismo 6 you could pretty easily get it up around 295, even without slipstream. Some people even got it higher. Now it's nowhere near that level, but at least it's still very competitive against other Lambos, some Ferraris, and a number of other supercars and high-performance cars in general. So if you do decide to use it, it's certainly not slow, it's just slower than it used to be in comparison. So if you do decide to use it, as I said, I hope you have a ton of fun with it. You can potentially win races against those more mid-level machines, and if you extend that final drive, you can keep up with slipstream with the bigger dogs as well. Say the 1000 horsepower plus club of Nismos, Enzos, Huayras, even some of the LMPs and Vision GTs. And in terms of handling, the Diablo's always been a little bit slipperier, a little bit twitchier partially because of its age, plus the Diablo is one of the most notoriously difficult supercars to drive in the real world as well. There's been countless accidents and fatalities in them, so it's not too surprising that it would be a bit more of a challenge. But with this particular tune, it brings it under a lot more control, it's a lot easier to drive. So of course, if you want to check out my even quicker tunes for stuff like the Huayra, the Nismo, the Veyron, etc., then you can click this playlist on screen. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.